We've entered the final week of the January transfer window, and so far, it's been a pretty quiet window, which is very disappointing. Because going into this window, I had hoped that Manchester United, my club, would be making a huge splash. So because of this, I got to work, making the video you're currently watching, ranking every single Manchester United winter transfer rumor, from Victor Gyökeres to Tyler Dibney. So flash forward to today, and I was about to get rid of this video entirely. I mean, not only are we more than halfway into the window, but some of the rumors I discussed wouldn't even make sense anymore. Anyways, here we are, and you're still watching. Yep, that's because since I made the original script for this video, INEOS haven't made a single January signing. So here we go. In today's video, I'll be ranking every single Manchester United January transfer window rumor. To see who will definitely come, to see who might not come, to see who might come during the summer, and to rank the worst deals. So, let's get right into it. Starting off, we have Victor Osimhen. And I will straight ahead just put him in good signing, because Osimhen looks almost tailor-made for the Premier League. He's a hard-working, strong striker who could fit into the Amorim system pretty well, like head down, running past defenses, and scoring goals. He might not be the best possible striker signing, because he's clearly enjoying his time at Galatasaray, so we might have to cash out a little extra to get him. But he does have a clause in his contract stating that he'd be free to leave for any English club in the January transfer window for a release clause of £75 million. Osimhen has put up some okay stats this season. Definitely not the best, but he scored 13 times and assisted 5 in 16 games across all competitions for Galatasaray. That includes the Premier League, or the Turkish League actually, and then I believe also the Europa League. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, if Osimhen does come to Manchester United this summer, or this January, it would be a good signing. I wouldn't blame INEOS for it. In fact, I'd be pretty impressed that they were able to get Victor Osimhen across the line. And next up, we have a very similar striker, Victor Gyökeres. And I'm actually not going to put him already, because I want to see what you guys think I would put him, or where you guys would put him. Gyökeres doesn't just have an £80 million release clause. According to certain sources, him and Sporting have agreed a gentleman's agreement to leave the club for just under £60 million, which would be tailored exactly for Manchester United. So where do I think Gyökeres should go? I think he should go at the top of good signing. I don't think he's perfect, because I think there's a few more budget signings that we can make. And obviously he's not as proven as some other strikers in the top 5 leagues. But he could definitely be something. Next up, we have Theo Hernandez. And I'll tell you about this one right now. It's not going to happen. Even though Theo isn't having the best of times right now at Milan, having a falling out with previous coach Fonseca, obviously there's a new coach now. And in that new coach, maybe Theo will find a little bit better luck at AC Milan for him right now. Plus, with such a big name like Theo Hernandez, I would be shocked to see him making a downwards move to Manchester United. I mean, we might not even get European football next season, unless we win the Europa League. Next up, after that, we have Kavica Kvaratskhelia, the 23-year-old Georgian winger who plays for Napoli. And I'll tell you right now, he's a great player, like an amazing player actually. And to see him at Manchester United would be a dream. And I think it would be a dream for him too. But it's just hard to see him coming now, as it would be a downwards move from Napoli, who are currently fighting for the league title in Serie A. Comfortably above not exactly comfortably, but at the top of the table right now, he'd be moving to a Manchester United team that looks like they might be in a relegation dogfight this season. And realistically, this move just won't happen, because United are very behind in the race for Kvara. After all, Liverpool, PSG, and other clubs are all ahead of Manchester United, especially PSG, who are far ahead. Maybe a summer signing at best, but realistically won't happen. So, next up, we have Tyler Dibbling from Southampton. So, while not the best player in this world, he's still an okay option, having great ball carrying skills and a great physicality for his age. Although, that could be diminished by the fact that he'd have to, number one, play out of position as a right wing back or a 10, for someone like him who's a winger, and two, play second fiddle to Amad Diallo, Bruno Fernandes, or even Garnacho if Amram doesn't see him in his short-term plans. And if I was Amram, I might not see him in my short-term plans either. After all, Amram doesn't really play with wingers at all. So, Tyler might not be able to find a place in this squad, which is why I would say that he'd be either a good signing or a summer watch. But since he's not really that much of a good signing, I'll throw him ahead in summer watch. Next up, we have Gonzalo Inacio. And I'm telling you right now, I don't even need to explain myself. This signing would be picture perfect. A young center back who has worked under Amram before in the Sporting system, where Amram was so freaking successful. And honestly, he would be such an upgrade to the current backline that we have right now, considering that Lisandro Martinez, Harry Maguire, and whoever is playing are all good center backs. Lenny Yoro, maybe sometimes. They're all good center backs, but they're not tailor-made for the Amram system. They don't know how to cross out those long balls to the front line and immediately get the counterattack started. But Inacio does. He's worked under Amram before, and he was incredibly successful. And to add on to that, he's pretty cheap too. We can get him for £40 million, and we could probably negotiate for even cheaper, considering Inacio shares the same agent as Ruben Amorim. So, this deal looks like it will definitely happen in January. I see no reason why Inacio shouldn't come to us. And speaking of players who have the same agent as Ruben Amorim, let's move on to Nuno Mendes, who is a very similar profile to Gonzalo Inacio, in which that I believe he'd be a perfect signing for this January. Nuno Mendes is a great choice for the current squad. After all, United currently lack a natural left back, looking a bit sus with Dallo playing in that position. Luke Shaw doesn't have the legs to run there anymore, and honestly, we have no one else. Malacia, injury issues, everything going on. So, Nuno Mendes would be a great signing. Not just a great signing, actually. A perfect signing. Because once again, he's pretty cheap, and he shares the same agent as Ruben Amorim, like I mentioned earlier. So if Inacio does come to Manchester this summer, or this January rather, he would not only perfectly fit into the system, but I'm confident that he would succeed. Next up, we have Dani Olmo. And I'm just going to throw him right ahead what won't happen. Obviously, entering January, a lot of people were throwing around rumors that Dani Olmo would be leaving Barcelona. After all, La Liga had restricted him and Pau Victor's registration because Barcelona could not afford to play them while playing all their other players. So, Dani Olmo was almost toted to leave on a free transfer. But suddenly, flash forward to January 10th, and the CSD had handed Barcelona an appeal, meaning that they would be able to register Pau Victor and Dani Olmo for the rest of the season. No extra cost needed, no financial issues. And so that means that Dani Olmo would probably stay at Barcelona for maybe another lot of seasons, because he's expressed his wish to stay at Barcelona. And I believe that by the end of the season, Barcelona will probably be able to extend his contract and register him for the next season. If it doesn't happen, I'll be laughing. But as a Manchester United fan, I don't really want him, and I don't think he really wants us. Moving on, we have Alphonso Davies, and he would work perfectly, and I'm telling you perfectly, in Amorim's system, because he can defend and attack. Doesn't sound like a realistic option though, with both Real Madrid and Bayern Munich fighting for his contract. So it might not happen. And on Fonzie's side, it seems like he might want to renew with Bayern for another year, so it's unlikely that we'll see the transfer going through this January, or ever. Next up, we have Milos Kerkez. And Milos, it would be a good option. Usually plays as a left back, but can run up the pitch to aid the attack. And right now, he's wanted by many clubs and would be a great January signing, considering Ruben Amorim has a great track record of molding left backs like him into deadly threats. I do believe that he can succeed at Manchester United, so I think he'd be a good January signing. Next, we have Nijpan, or Sver Nijpan. All you Norwegians down below, tell me if I pronounced that right. But we're talking about an amazing young midfielder, dubbed the next Martin Odegaard. And I'd go farther. I'd go to say that he can become one of the greatest midfielders of all time, and not an Arsenal player. Thanks to his incredible vision, passing range, and football IQ, his overall playmaking ability is amazing, and several European giants have pushed to get his signature, but United seem to be a clear favorite for him, which is why I think he'd be a perfect signing. I also haven't addressed this yet, but United could definitely do with some upgrades to our midfield. Obviously, we have Bruno Fernandes, we have Kobe Manu, we have Manuel Ugarte, and we have Amad Diallo there sometimes. But we don't really have that depth for our CDMs, first of all. After all, we can use Casemiro and Eriksen, but it'd be really nice to see them both go out the door this January, so that's a no-no. And we don't really have any replacements for Bruno Fernandes, but I think this guy could be great. Also, if we're not able to secure a wing back, then we'll have to probably play Amad Diallo in that position. And in that case, Nijpan could perfectly suit that role, which is why I say that he's a perfect January signing for Manchester United. Now, moving on, we have Matheus Cunha. After the Wolves game, I and many other people thought that Matheus Cunha would be perfect for Manchester United. After all, he was incredibly versatile, incredibly skilled, and he just cooked us in whole. But I have to tell you, it's not going to happen. Cunha right now is in heavy negotiations to renew with Wolves. If it's already happened by the time that this video has posted, then it just proves my point even further. Plus, clubs like Arsenal are just chasing him a lot harder than we are right now. So, to be honest, it probably won't happen. Considering this January, we won't be able to get him. And next January, he'll either be wearing an Arsenal kit or be renewing with Wolves. So, I think we can say goodbye to the Matheus Cunha deal. Next up, we have Bryan Mbeumo. And Mbeumo is a great player. He's very versatile, able to play all over the attack, also putting up some incredible numbers, which would be a great upgrade to our current strike force production. He's currently playing for Brentford, so as much as they might be ahead of us in the table, it would be an upgrade move for him. So, to see Bryan Mbeumo move to Manchester United, I think it would be a good signing. Next up, we have Ederson. And Ederson from Atalanta, by the way. I'm not talking about the nasty Ederson who plays across Manchester. I'm talking about the good one. Because this is a great player. A player who can run the midfield for Atalanta. And like I said earlier, who would be some much needed squad depth to United's deeper midfield. But do I think that this would happen? No. But can it happen? Yes, which is why I would put him in Summer Watch. Next, we have Alvaro Fernandez, otherwise known as Alvaro Fernandez Correa. And he's a great player. And I see this move happening. Malashia has a worrying injury record, like I told you guys. Luke Shaw doesn't have the ability to play out wide anymore. And Dalot obviously is playing out of position. He moved to Man United in 2020 from the Real Madrid youth, went on several loans, and was eventually sold to Benfica in the summer of 2023 for €6 million. Now proving to be a key player for Benfica, and now tipped to return to United with a buyback clause of €9 million, or £7.5 million, with Benfica not being able to have a say. Also, very young good player, and with that buyback clause, I don't see why INEOS don't go activated. I see Alvaro Fernandez moving to Manchester this January. Next up, we have Ryan ait-nouri, or Ryan ait-nouri. Correct me if I pronounce that wrong. Anyways, ait-nouri is a great player. Once again, a left back, which is just exactly what Manchester United need right now. And what I really like about ait-nouri is that he has 8 GA in 20 matches, which is extremely good for the MRM system. Because if you didn't know, in the MRM system, the left wing backs and the right wing backs are expected to create chances and serve as some of the team's top goal contributors. And that's exactly what Ryan ait-nouri is doing with Wolves. So I see him as a good option. Plus, he's been linked with Manchester United before, and it could definitely happen now. So if he came to Manchester United this January, I'd call it a good signing. Next up, we have Randal Colomwani. And this one is probably one that could happen. Because Muani has been getting, she's been basically becoming an outcast at PSG. And tons of clubs have come for his signature. Juventus, Inter Milan, every club that we're talking about, basically. They want Muani, basically. Because he's becoming an outcast at PSG, like I said. And obviously, he's not exactly the out-and-out striker. He's not tapping those balls into the net. He's more like, serving deep for the link-up play. But he's still a great striker, and he still be awesome for Manchester United. So, I don't think I need to explain further. Muani would be a good choice, especially if you watched my last Marcus Rashford video, which I might have been wrong about. So, if you want to see a follow-up video to that, then hit that subscribe button and like it. But anyways, in that video, I talked about Muani moving to Manchester United. And I keep my stance that I said in that video. I think Muani would be a good signing for Manchester United. Next up, we have Anthony Robinson. I'm just going to go ahead and say, this is a good player. Not the best. This is a good player. It might not go to Manchester United. Might go to Manchester United. And I'm not sure that he'll happen in January. He's not the best signing, so I'll just go ahead and put him in Summer Watch. And same thing for Vlahovic. Great out-and-out number 9, and obviously would be really good to see since Manchester United are looking for an out-and-out number 9, and he's reportedly open for a move to Manchester United. And if that is really true, then I think I'd bump him up to good signing. But Juventus are very keen to lay him off for a simple cash plus swap deal, where they would likely see Joshua Zirkzee return to Thiago Motta in Italy. Now, I'm not exactly a fan of that Zirkzee part. After all, he's only been at United for 6 months, but Vlahovic at Manchester United wouldn't be too bad. So, what do you guys think? Well, I think I might move like Theo down here, just so that the list looks a little bit better. Maybe we might be able to move around some people, like Kirkes to Summer Watch, Ederson to won't happen. But basically, it stays all the same. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope that we get to see some improvements. I hope we're not in a relegation dogfight for the rest of the video. But let's go Reds.